The collection's name is the Latino Arts and Activism Collection, and we decided to call it that just to communicate to people that might want to use it what the depth and range of the materials that we were gathering. The archive initiative starts at the Center for the Study of Ethnicity and Race, and the first papers that we're acquiring are Jack Agüeros' papers.
The initiative is to begin to acquire for Colombia a set of collections documenting arts and arts activism in New York.
So Jack Agüeros is my dad, and first and foremost, that's how I know him and why I love him. I think that for a lot of people in the Puerto Rican community in particular and beyond, his importance is that he's someone who came from the barrio, came from very humble roots, and had a very interesting career that mixed community activism, arts, writing, and I think it's an unusual arc, really.
Jack Agüeros was a pivotal figure in the Puerto Rican cultural renaissance of the 70s as a pioneering writer, poet, translator of Julia de Burgos, which is one of the most important poets of Latin America, and to date he's the only person that's translated her entire collection. And also as director of El Museo del Barrio, which was one of the most important institutions that came out of the Puerto Rican cultural renaissance period. If you look at that period, you'll see that it not only produced artists and art, but also it produced institutions that changed the landscape of culture in New York City, El Museo del Barrio being one, the New Yorican Poets Cafe being the other. Over the last few years, Jack Agüeros developed Alzheimer's. And in that regard, bringing the collection to Colombia is a way to preserve his legacy and his work, not only for the researchers of today, but also for generations to come, for people who are interested in knowing more about this period, about his work, and about what kind of world was New York City during that era?
In all of those stages, I think he impacted people directly and indirectly, and as a result, I'm always amazed by the amount of affection and loyalty that people have towards him.
For someone like Jack Agüeros, the political and the artistic are inseparable. It's one fabric. I mean, Jack's art is Jack's politics are Jack's art.
My dad always thought of himself as someone who was incorporating the classical traditions in order to convey non-classical messages.
I met the eyes of a girl in a taxi, but I was in the back of a bus. And the message of love we exchanged was lost in the smoke and the dust. In the smoke and the dust of morning, created by engines engaged in the transport of human bodies, up and across, and downtown, away.
We are not only valuing the artistry of Jack Agüeros and his importance in the landscape, but we're also acquiring something of great value to researchers and people in the community at large in order to engage with the period where Jack was particularly active. Because there are letters, there are photos, there are manuscripts and other materials that if you're serious about the work that you're doing, you're going to have to come here.
To be able to contribute to the intellectual mission of the center, have my dad's papers be the first element of that collection, I think is a great honor.
So having someone like Jack Agüeros, who worked across the arts, back in time, forward in time, outside of art into politics and society, this is what we do in the library. This is what we do at Columbia. This is what life and learning are all about.